Can everybody hear me out there? I'd like to welcome you to the Nahant Town Hall. This event, this Candidates Forum, is sponsored by the Nahant Democratic Town Committee. It seems that the three candidates are all Democrats of various stripes, but our Democratic Town Committee is one that respects the individual opinions of each member. So we don't require that everybody march in lockstep. We are a group of people that share basic values, and we seek to support Democratic candidates in the general election because, clearly, we think that the Democratic Party is one that represents best the interests of the whole community and not just some certain part of the community. John F. Kennedy, I think, said it best. He said, "In the final analysis, our most basic common link is that we all inhabit this small planet. We all breathe the same air. We all cherish our children's future. And we are all mortal. So we're going to try, as a party, to live up to that way of thinking. And one way we do that is by encouraging free and open, honest, respectful discussion among ourselves and with those who may disagree with us in the other party. It's not always easy, but we try. So tonight, we have three candidates. We have Brendan Crichton, who is a city councilor in Lynn, who is chief of staff for Senator Tom McGee. We have Katerina Kudanis, who is a community activist and has been for some years, and also a professional architectural planner. And we have Charlie Gallo, who is on the Lynn School Committee and who is an attorney in private practice. Let me explain the format so we all understand that. Each candidate will have approximately 1 minute to answer questions. We have come up with a series of questions that will be given to each candidate. That'll take a half hour, maybe 35 minutes, whatever. After that, we will accept questions from the audience. The questions from the audience need to be written and handed to one of our, either of two committee members, Tricia McDivitt, put your hand up, Tricia, and Maddie Davis, back there. They will be available to take your written questions. During the course of things, they will pass those questions to me, and I will sort them out so they're not repetitive and all that. So that's the way we're going to do it. And now I will ask each candidate to make an opening statement. Brendan?
Thank you. I'd first like to say thank you to our host in the Nahant Town Committee. It's been such a great partnership over the years. I've had the opportunity to work on a number of campaigns with all of you, whether it be Governor Patrick, Congressman Tierney, U.S. Senator Warren, or Ed Markey. It's been a joy and a really good learning experience for myself. And now it's an honor here tonight to be sitting before you as a candidate for the state representative of the 11th Essex District. For those of you who haven't had the chance to meet, I'm Brendan Crichton. I'm a lifelong Lynn resident. I'm joined here by my family, my father Kevin, mother Diane, my sister Kathleen, brother Kevin, and my new in-laws, Al and Steph, and most importantly, my wife, Andrea. I am who I am today as a result of a loving and dedicated family and the strong community for which I was raised. From kindergarten through my graduation at Lynn Classical, I learned so much from the hardworking teachers and faculty of our public school system. I took full advantage of every playground, every field, court, Linwood's, Nahant's, Long Beach. I was fortunate to build skills from after-school programs, sports teams, and local youth employment. But most of all, I truly benefited from the people in our community. I'm running for state representative to give back to the community that has given me so much, and because I believe that I'm uniquely qualified to create jobs and opportunities for the district. After 9 years of working for State Senator Tom McGee and 4.5 years on the City Council, I have the experience, leadership, and vision to move this district forward, and I'll be ready to serve on day one. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ekaterina Kudanis, and I wish to thank the Nahant Democratic Committee and the host organizer, Jim Walsh, for putting together a great forum this evening. And a little about myself. I'm an architectural planning consultant. Most know me as a green planner, community activist, and environmentalist. I like to fight big corporations. I fought Walmart from building in the woods, and I'm currently fighting partners from removing hospital services from our community. And I graduated from Wentworth Institute of Technology in 1997. I attended St. Mary's High School in 1991. I'm happily married 5 years to my longtime love and he's an ex-football player, played at Bentley College, and his uncle was, great-uncle was Harry Gannis here in Lynn. And I'm running simply because I just want to create more transparency in government. I love what I do in architecture, but I just want to include those planning design skills in the legislation where I think that the House could use a little bit more expertise in green planning. And I want to fight for clean air, clean water, good health, and natural alternatives for a healthier lifestyle and better quality of life. And so simply so I can return to my life. So I thank you for coming, and thank you again.
Sorry.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Charlie Gallo, and I want to first and foremost say thank you to the Nahant Democratic Town Committee for hosting today. And I want to note that I've been elected and re-elected Secretary of the Lynn Democratic City Committee since I was 21 years old back in 2004. So it's great to be here with you today, and many of us have worked together and volunteered on many campaigns: Senator Warren, Governor Patrick, State Senator McGee, Congressman Tierney. And so it's great to be here with like-minded folks, and I want to especially recognize our two Democratic State Committee women, Maddie Davis from Nahant and Agnes Ricco from Lynn, who both join us tonight. I want to thank our moderators, and I want to thank each and every person who came out tonight. You should be commended for being informed voters. Again, my name's Charlie Gallo. I work as an attorney in private practice. I represent mostly senior citizens and retirees, and like our predecessors, Steve Walsh and Tom McGee, will be bringing significant private sector experience to the 11th Essex seat. I also have public sector experience. I was elected to the Lynn School Committee in 2011, re-elected in 2013, and in that time, we've reopened schools that had previously been closed. We're building, for the first time in 15 years, a new school in Lynn, and Lynn, for the first time, is no longer labeled a failing district. And so working hard, rolling up my sleeves, and getting things done is what I've become known for on the school committee, and it's what I'm here to offer you as a candidate for state representative. I'm here to run because I care so much about our community. I want to move it forward, and I have the work ethic to serve. Again, my name's Charlie Gallo, and I thank you for having me here tonight.
So So my inability to read my own notes has just emerged. I wanted to mention two more things. One is that we have established a scholarship, our committee has, this year in honor of John C. Court, who is a longtime resident of Nahant and very, very active in our Democratic Town Committee, wonderful man, and if any of you would care to contribute to that scholarship fund, please let me know. Our treasurer, Mickey Long, is right here. Or you can go to our Facebook page, Nahant Democratic Town Committee, or our website, nahantdems.com, for more information on that. And finally, I just wanted to mention one last thing, and that is for the first time ever, our Democratic Town Committee has taken a position on a primary candidate. We have voted almost unanimously, 25 to 1, to support John Tierney for Congress. So I want everyone to understand that. So now we'll get to the questions. The questions will be answered in the order that people are sitting. The final comments by the candidates will be made in reverse order. So the first question is this, and each candidate has received these questions previously, so they all know exactly what I'm going to say. There are 4 questions on the ballot this year, statewide ballot. We'd like your views on each one of them. First, do you support requiring certain employers to provide earned sick time for their employees, and why?
I fully support requiring certain employees to provide earned sick time. From 2005 to 2010, the paid sick leave bill at the time, now the earned sick leave bill, was before Senator McGee's committee, the Labor and Workforce Development Committee. I had an opportunity to work closely with legislators as well as stakeholders and learned a whole lot about the bill. It was clear then, and it's clear now, that earned sick time protects public health and saves money. Nobody should have to choose between keeping their jobs and caring for a sick family member or themselves. I'm confident in our chances at the ballot, but should this measure fail, I will co-sponsor the earned sick bill in the next legislative session. Thank you.
My simple answer is yes, and the common denominator in my platform is the provisions and protections of maintaining good health. So simply, that should not be negotiated. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, and yes, I wholeheartedly support earned sick time. You know, I believe strongly that if you have a sick child or a sick parent or you're sick yourself, you shouldn't have to choose between taking care of yourself or that family member and putting food on the table. If you have to go to the doctor or bring your child or an aging parent to a doctor, you shouldn't have to choose between taking a day off to do that and paying the rent or paying the mortgage. And so in this campaign, my campaign hasn't just talked the talk about supporting earned sick time. We've actually walked the walk, and we've gone out and collected with Raise Up Massachusetts ballot petition signatures to get earned sick time on the ballot and also to get minimum wage on the ballot. We believe strongly in those issues, and Team Gallo is already fighting for them.
Second, do you believe that the bottle bill should be expanded to include water and other drinks? And do you think of yourself as a green candidate?
I strongly believe that we should expand the bottle bill to include water and other drinks. I think it's a common sense measure that would both decrease litter and increase recycling. And I do consider myself a green candidate. Since elected to the council 4.5 years ago, I've been pushing for a new trash pickup proposal in the city of Lynn that would increase rates of recycling. Full disclosure, my wife gave me the idea. I'm proud to say that this fall we'll be providing every residence with a large single-stream recycling barrel and trash barrel under this new proposal, this new automated trash proposal. This will save the city money, increase recycling, and make our neighborhoods even cleaner. Additionally, I'm a strong supporter of reducing our dependence on polluting fuels and nuclear power. I will work hard to expand public transportation options and encourage greater accessibility for pedestrians and bicyclists. These steps not only make it easier for people to get where they need to go, it helps reduce our reliance on cars and reduces pollution. Thank you.
Yes, the bottle bill, I do support that, but in all honesty, nickels and dimes do not change a green person, but it would help the poor in that aspect when they sift through the recyclables, because I believe if you're green, you recycle it, and nickel is not really going to change that much. But if I'm a green candidate, I'd have to say in 1999, I founded a tree seedling day with Sunday school children and nurtured the trees for 2 years. They are now planted at Lynn Shore Drive and Pine Grove Cemetery. In 2010, I took to the forefront in a battle to save Spring Pond woods and wetlands from destruction of 2 big box stores. In that, for 2 years, we surveyed wetlands, protected watersheds, discovered and successfully certified 3 vernal pools. We inventoried the whippoorwills on the National Heritage of Endangered Species Program protected list, along with along the undeveloped greenbelt from Salem Woods to Spring Pond Woods to Lynn Woods, and areas in between. In my campaign, I argue for the protection of greenbelts. Earlier this year, I began a petition to get fluoride out of our drinking waters. I joined the ranks of other state reps for renewable energy, clean air, clean water, and I petitioned to get Bike to the Sea through Lynn. I'm also an architectural green site planning designer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes to the bottle bill. I think it makes a great deal of sense to provide an economic incentive for folks to recycle. We do it now with soda cans and we do it with beer bottles, so why not expand that to water and to juice? Yes to being a green candidate, and I'll tell you my background prior to being on the school committee in Lynn was as an associate member of the Lynn Zoning Board of Appeals, and actually had a hand in bringing Lynn its first wind turbine, which is something I'm very proud of. But I also want to say that I'm the jobs candidate, and so sometimes when we're thinking about moving towards greener solutions, we need to be careful that we do so in a gradual way, and while we pay attention to the environment, also need to pay attention to jobs. We shouldn't be transitioning so fast out of industry so that folks are left without work, and I think Beacon Hill needs that kind of thoughtful, practical, and pragmatic approach. That's what I'm here to offer as your next state representative.
Few would disagree that our roads are deplorable and some of our bridges are dangerous. In view of that, would you support rolling back the tax on gasoline that funds the building and maintenance of roads and bridges?
We made great strides last year with the passage of the Transportation Finance Bill. I'm proud to have been on the team that drafted the legislation. After decades of ignoring our transportation infrastructure, this bill dedicates an average of $600 million per year in new revenue dedicated towards transportation. The money will be spent in every corner of our Commonwealth and used to repair our roads, bridges, invest in regional transit, ensure that the MBTA is reliable and affordable, and make walking and biking safer. An important component to the new law pegs gas tax to inflation. This will raise more than $1 billion over the next 10 years and will prevent the gas tax revenues from depreciating over time. I am strongly opposed to repealing the gas tax indexing. We will lose funds directly tied to transportation, it will hurt the economy, and our roads and bridges will continue to crumble, making it more difficult for us to get to work, to the doctor's office, to the grocery store, to school. Currently, 42% of Massachusetts roads are in poor or mediocre condition, and 50% of our bridges are either structurally deficient or fundamentally obsolete. I urge everyone here to vote against this irresponsible initiative. Thank you. Oh, sorry.
We need to increase the funding for infrastructure. However, the way that we find ways to increase the funding could be looked at a little differently. We need to reorganize how we spend and how we overspend. And what is deplorable about our infrastructure is that it is not green enough. Why do we need to pave everything? There's non-travel lanes that are that have over maintenance, and why are trains using diesel fuel? Why isn't there a balance of passive infrastructure to include more greenways so there is more green and passive transportation systems? Updating the framework of our infrastructure to be more green will help reduce the life cycle cost in the end. And I would look and research those measures and how we could look at reorganizing that framework. Thank you.
Thank you. I also oppose the rollback of the gas tax. And look, our predecessor, Representative Steve Walsh, voted for the gas tax last year. And I do want to take a minute to say thank you to Steve for his service. He's been a friend and a mentor and deserves a lot of credit for what he's done in Lynn and in Nahant. Steve had a lot of courage to vote for the gas tax, and he was right. It was the first gas tax increase since 1991. That's 23 years. And I think that Steve was right that we shouldn't be waiting that long to maintain our roads and bridges. We need to make sure we're taking care of our roads and bridges, not disregarding them. We need to make sure they're being repaired, not being kept unsafe. And also our public transportation needs to be paid for, whether it's the bus, the T, the ride, trains. And so I oppose the rollback of the gas tax.
Those were the easy ones. How will you vote on the question of casinos?
I will vote against the repeal of the casino law. I think with our economy still recovering and so many still unemployed, I believe that casinos could provide a much-needed infusion of jobs in our local economy. Because of the way the legislation was crafted, I believe our region stands to benefit through mitigation funds for surrounding communities, as well as transportation investment that the private casino is required to make, specifically along Route 1A. I also believe a casino at Suffolk Downs could make parts of Lynn's waterfront more attractive for hotel or mixed-use development and strengthens our case for the extension of the Blue Line to Lynn. Thank you.
I would vote to repeal the casino law. I think it's the wrong economic model. I think what it's doing is making the rich richer and taking resources from our community. This is on the ballot, and if the people so choose to vote for this in the majority of in favor of this plan, I would fight to see that the economic model of this is broken up into smaller mom and pop casino shops, retail shops, galleries, and to expand the liveliness of that system shell to the neighboring communities. So it's not draining from our communities, it's revitalizing our communities. And that's my honest stand. Thank you.
Casinos is a tough issue, and it's one I've thought long and hard about, but I've decided that I'm going to vote to keep casinos, and I'm going to do so because it means jobs for people in Nahant and jobs for people in Lynn. How many here have ever gone to Foxwoods or Mohegan Sun? Most of us. And sometimes if you go to Foxwoods or Mohegan Sun, you don't stay at the casino. You stay nearby because the prices are a little bit more reasonable. Well, Lynn has an underused waterfront. Our waterfront has a dollar store and a dump. My vision is not a dollar store and a dump. It's hotels, restaurants, entertainment venues. That's a kind of development that casinos can bring. It's a kind of development that casino goers can enjoy, and a kind of development that people from Nahant and Lynn can enjoy. The building and development itself would create jobs, and I'm proud that the unions who would get those jobs are supporting me in the race. 2 electrical workers unions, the painters union, the allied trade union, because they know I'm the jobs candidate. And I want a local training program so that when the restaurants are built, when the hotels are built, we're training folks from Nahant and training folks from Lynn to be able to work in those jobs. Thank you.
What would you do to improve public education in general, and specifically, given that special education is a budget item that has a tremendous impact on costs, especially in a small town like Nahant, do you think that funding the cost of special education should be a state responsibility and not a local one?
If elected, I would strongly advocate for Chapter 70 funds for education, circuit-breaking funding for special education, universal pre-K, and after-school and out-of-school time programs. For small towns like Nahant, the state needs to provide directed funding for special education to ensure that every student is getting the high quality of education that they deserve. I am proud of my work in education and that I received the endorsement of the Massachusetts Teachers Association, of which Nahant teachers are members. Education will always be my top priority. Thank you.
The problem, I believe, in our schools, public school system is that there are not enough options for students. The standards set a certain guideline, and we have special classes that are needed. There are special interests, talents that are being that parents need to spend money on in after-school programs. My idea is to endorse Governor Deval Patrick's idea. He signed into legislation in 2010 to create innovative public schools, which are public charter schools, in which, with a student population, the students, parents, and teachers are surveyed, and with this survey, we are able to extract the needs of the children and then divide those needs up into categories to provide more music, art, ESL, science, philosophy, environmental, agricultural, or trade courses. This is the type of system that I'd like to go for. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, I believe strongly that the future of our community is tied directly to the quality of our public schools. Education opens doors, and I saw that firsthand in my own family. I come from a very loving and hardworking family. 2 of my 4 grandparents weren't able to complete high school. I was the first in my family to go on to college. I did it while working nights and weekends at grocery stores and flipping burgers at McDonald's. Then I went to law school at night, and I did that while working full-time during the day. So I see firsthand the difference education can make. I'm proud to have worked hard now for 2 terms on the Lynn School Committee, along with our parents and community members, our teachers, and sometimes our students, so that Lynn for the first time is labeled an improving, not a failing school district. And for the first time in 15 years, we've put shovels in the ground to build a new school in Lynn. And I'll continue fighting for those kinds of improvements from Beacon Hill. On the funding question, I support a Chapter 70 funding formula that provides more state special education aid, as well as English language learner aid. I would also support a funding formula that increases vocational education aid and funding for all-day pre-kindergarten. Thank you.
There seem to be more guns that are more easily available than ever before. Do you believe that a license or registration should be necessary to own or purchase guns? Do you believe that assault weapons and other guns with high-capacity clips should be banned? Do you believe that carrying a gun in a school, a store, a coffee shop, or other public place should be restricted in any way?
Massachusetts has some of the toughest gun laws in the country, and unfortunately, many illegal guns are still here as a result of other states' less safe gun laws. I'm supportive of requiring proper licensing and registration and the ban on assault weapons and guns with high-capacity clips. I'm also supportive of the House version of the gun law that is being debated up on Beacon Hill now. The House proposal gives police chiefs the right to deny a firearm ID if there is a risk to public safety. It also allows gun dealers to access criminal offender record information, the Corey checks, and sets up criminal firearms and trafficking unit within the state police. While the federal government and most other states have yet to update their own gun laws, Massachusetts is again taking the lead on the issue. Thank you.
The gun report by Jennifer Masha finds that nearly 32,000 people are killed by guns every year. 60% of those deaths are by suicide. The majority of the other deaths are caused by the gun owner's own hands within a heated argument, a household argument, an accidental death within the family. In very few cases were those guns used for self-protection or to fight against tyranny. So on the contrary, guns make killing too easy, and to try and regulate the law, to regulate the handle, isn't going to work very effectively because every person is innocent until that bullet leaves the chamber. So theoretically, in science, we need to regulate what type of bullets come out of the chamber because there's 300 million guns in America, and that's not going to change anytime soon. So we need to make a quick, effective movement. We need to hit the issue where it initiates. And we already have the problems out there. There's gang shootings everywhere, and it's not punishing the people who have licensure is not going to be that effective. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You know, we have a gun problem in the United States, and we have a gun problem here in Massachusetts. It's something I met with the police chief in Lynn, Chief Coppinger, about recently. And so, yes, I believe that a license or registration should be necessary to own or buy a gun. Yes, I believe assault weapons should be banned. And yes, I believe high-capacity clips should be banned. I think there should be reasonable restrictions on owning and carrying a gun, no guns in schools, no guns in coffee shops, and I believe in background checks. I also believe we need to take a close and careful look at the mental health aspect. Think about Sandy Hook. 20 children were shot. Think about Virginia Tech. 32 people were killed, in both instances, by young men with mental illnesses. Those are the issues we need to look at more closely. I will be the candidate who does so from Beacon Hill for you.
The shoreline of Lynn and Nahant is an important part. What are the issues of public, private, and recreational development along our shoreline? Would you support a free summer shuttle from Lynn neighborhoods to the Ward Bathhouse at Nahant Beach?
I think our district's greatest resource is our waterfront. I have worked hard at the state level to make sure that DCR is keeping our beaches clean and safe. It has been an honor to work on the Metropolitan Beaches Commission to tackle issues like paella algae, water quality, beach programming, capital infrastructure like the Causeway or the Ward Bathhouse, and beach operations. I'm prepared, if elected, to continue to advocate for this important funding on all of these matters. Additionally, we have a great opportunity along the other section of our waterfront along the Lynnway. I was on the steering committee for the Lynn Waterfront Master Plan, at the table during the negotiations for the removal of our power lines that obstructed development along the waterfront, led the way for investments in Seaport Marina and on an expedited permitting process on the waterfront, and helped implement the construction and operation of the Lynn Commuter Ferry. A big part of our master plan calls for public space and a continuous boardwalk required when development occurs all the way from the General Edwards Bridge to the Causeway. I'm also supportive of a free summer shuttle to improve access for all citizens to our beaches and waterfront. We must take advantage of our greatest natural resource. Thank you.
The waterfront is an amenity of the community, and I do support a shuttle service from Lynn, and also if there's one needed for Nahant residents from the other end of just so long. I noticed the bus route going through Nahant isn't fulfilled enough, and I'd like to look into those options. I fear the shoreline development between Nahant and Lynn on the Lynnway is not in favor of the communities. It will not become an amenity to the community, it will become another community in of itself. I'm not in favor of the sleeper towers that are proposed for this development, and I have a vision to see a green parkway similar to a boulevard in Switzerland where there's kiosks, pocket parks, and enhance the Lynnway to be a parkway connection between Revere Beach to Lynshore Drive and Nahant Beach to make it a better approach. And also, many say the land there is private. Well, that is not entirely the case. There needs to be a community waterfront commission created because the public has sovereign rights over tideland that was once submerged by water or currently submerged by water. And most of the land by the Lynnway waterfront was once submerged by water. Therefore, the public has sovereign rights over tideland jurisdictions. And with that, there needs to be a public community waterfront commission so any future development is in the best favor and interest of the community, not of a developer looking to make a maximum amount of profit. Thank you.
Thank you, and this is a question of funding, and I'll be a state representative who prioritizes funding to keep our beaches clean, to treat the algae, to maintain the seawalls, to preserve family play areas, and to look at creative ideas like a shuttle. Now, I have a strong record of fighting for funding for my constituents. If you've watched the school committee meetings over the last few months, you see me fighting to update outdated textbooks, fighting to put librarians back in our libraries. And that's a difference between me and my friend, Councilor Crichton. This year, Brendan voted to double his own pay. He voted to raise the mayor's salary in Lynn by $60,000 a year at a time when police, fire, veterans, and every other city department is being cut. He said he voted yes because the mayor's pay was tied to the council pay and the two votes came up at once. If that were true, he would have amended to separate the two issues out and vote only for the mayor's pay. Instead, he doubled his own salary. Brendan's a good friend, but we differ on this issue, and I think we'll differ as state reps in terms of funding priorities. My priorities are going to be to return the money to the district, to support our community, to support our beaches, our water, and look at creative ideas like shuttles, not raise politician pay.
I would just like to remind everyone that if questions pop into your mind, either Trish or Maddie will give you a card, fill it out, and when we conclude this part, are you going to hand me questions right now? Great. So, we're going to continue with our written questions given to the candidates previously, but in a short time, we'll be taking other questions from you as well. So the next question is this. Immigration is a national problem, but one that has local consequences. What do you see as the local ramifications of this national problem?
I think everyone in this room would agree that we have a national immigration system that is broken. Though there have been many bipartisan efforts to address this issue, House Republicans have refused to even allow for a debate. I am very concerned by the recent change in tone that the debate that has occurred over the past week with the crisis in Central America. It seems to be an easy and convenient tactic to take several unrelated immigrant or refugee issues and combine them into one, to create a scenario of us versus them. I am supportive of our governor's plans to use federal funds to temporarily house the refugee children who have ended up here through no fault of their own. And I think it's very important that we remember that these are children. Children who are fleeing what is the equivalent of war-torn countries. It's the right thing to do, and we should do it as a state and be a leader for the country. The issue of immigration is far too complex to answer in just 1 minute, but I think everyone should carefully consider the facts and have a responsible and civil discussion on the matter. Thank you.
It's very difficult for me to say that immigration is a national problem when America's story is an immigrant story. My parents are immigrants, and I'm a first-generation born Greek American. My great uncle and my uncles served for the U.S. service, the U.S. Army and the U.S. Air Force, and one of them is buried in the Veterans Memorial in Pine Grove Cemetery. There's always been an immigration crisis in this country since Ellis Island. I mean, with the greatest immigration influxes from the early 1800s and 1900s. We all need to get along, and I've organized a peace rally this Friday for all the problems in the world, not just the Guatemalan children. We have Bring Back Our Girls from Nigeria. We have the issues in between Israel and the Palestine, and there's human sex trafficking issues internationally. There's missing international children. This is a simple peace rally this Friday by the Nahant Rotary at 7 p.m., and it's just to come join in silence in the peace circle to say we can all live together and work this out. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, we'd be unrealistic if we didn't acknowledge that there are certain challenges that come with the recent influx of immigrants. Though I want to say I believe that what makes our country great is that we all come from a different background. We have different cultures, different traditions, different foods that I think make for a rich melting pot here in the United States, here in the Commonwealth. Almost all of our families were born elsewhere. They might have been born in Italy or Greece or Ireland. That said, there are challenges. And that's especially true with the so-called unaccompanied minors who are coming to the Commonwealth without a parent. They enroll in the schools and unfortunately haven't been trained yet to even write in their native language. So educating them becomes a difficult and also costly task. Space and cost are two major challenges. I don't think Fox News is the right place to grieve these issues. But I do think that we need to do is get some help from the federal government on them so that Lynn and Nahant taxpayers aren't footing the bill. We need to look at this humanely, but we also need to look at it realistically. And it's something I've been working on with Congressman Tierney's office in recent weeks in my capacity as a Lynn School Committee member. Thank you.
You will be representing parts of Lynn and all of Nahant. What are the most important common issues between these two communities?
I'm reminded of the famous Tip O'Neill saying that all politics is local. While Lynn and Nahant certainly differ in many areas, I think that for the most part, they want government to work for them on the ground level. We simply want clean and safe streets, reliable infrastructure and public services, good schools, and neighborhoods where we can raise a family. These are all attainable goals and ones that I will continue to work hard to achieve, but they are only possible with a strong economy. That is why I will continue to make the investments and policies that create jobs and opportunities for the district as a whole. Thank you.
Above all, the number one goal that we all wish to achieve in our lives is good health. And I believe that's the one common denominator no matter where we live. That we want clean air, clean water, good infrastructure to move around, and while improving the infrastructure, we're also creating jobs. But as I mentioned before, the linkage between Nahant and Lynn on the waterway, we need to create a public waterfront commission to ensure that that development is in the best interest of the public. Thank you.
Thank you. I think one of the big common issues between Nahant and Lynn is how do we help our senior citizens and retirees? I mentioned earlier that I'm an attorney in private practice and I specialize in elder law. So I represent senior citizens and retirees, but also their families every single day. And I believe that people who have worked hard during their lives ought to be able to maintain a good standard of living. And so I'll be a state rep who protects affordable housing for seniors. I believe that people who have worked hard their entire lives ought to be able to afford health care coverage, not choose between putting food on the table and filling a prescription drug, not choose between going to the doctor's office and paying the rent. As your next state representative, I'll take a look at Medicaid, which right now you can't qualify for most benefits if you're a senior citizen if you have more than $2,000. I'll look at Medicare. If you have more than $7,000, you don't get help with your copays. We need a state representative who's going to raise those thresholds for our seniors, retirees, and their families. Finally, I'll be a state rep who calls on the state to simplify the paperwork, make the application simpler, and make it easier for seniors and retirees to access the health benefits that they earned. Thank you.
I think as we have seen here tonight, we have three very qualified candidates for this position. I would like to ask each one of them, what do you bring to the table that your two opponents do not bring?
After 9 years working at the State House and 4.5 years on the Lynn City Council, I'm uniquely qualified to serve as your next state representative and will be ready to hit the ground running. I have a strong record of job creation at both the local and state level. I know how to navigate the State House, and I know how to get things done. I will be an effective leader for this district starting on day one. Thank you.
I don't fear fighting the big guys if it means standing alone. I was the only candidate in a public hearing that actually opposed the council and mayor's self-promoting retro raises that Charlie mentioned earlier. I have 10 years more experience in life. I'm 10 years older than, but that shouldn't matter. I hate politics. You have to tell your age. I'm proven to be an environmental defender and fighter. I bring to the table planning experience which no other legislator in the House might have. And I have a greater experience helping friends onto the road of substance abuse recovery. A progressive fight. I'm fighting right now the big guys to save our community hospital in a progressive way. And the things I have done to help my community, I have not done on a payroll. I've done it on my own free time because our government needs our help. I'm not asking for you to vote for me. I'm asking for you to vote for us because I'm fighting for all of us. Thank you.
Could you repeat the question?
Sure. It appears that we have three qualified candidates. What do you bring to the table that your two opponents do not?
Thank you. That's an easy question, Jim. I bring the best head of hair to the table. Actually, I bring both private and public sector experience to the table, and hard work was something that was bred into me. I worked my way through college, I worked my way through law school, and today I work very hard as an attorney in the private sector. It's the same background that Representative Steve Walsh and his predecessor, now State Senator Tom McGee, had. Their understanding of the private sector allowed them to serve, and it'll be the same expertise that I bring to the table. I also bring significant public sector experience. 2 terms as a Lynn School Committee member, 1 term on the Lynn Zoning Board of Appeals, 2 terms on the City of Lynn's Community Development Board, and I also work a second job most semesters at North Shore Community College, teaching courses in state and local government. Brendan is a longtime friend, even though sometimes we disagree on the issues, and Katerina has been someone who it's become a real pleasure to get to know during the campaign, and Jim's right, we do have 3 good candidates here, 3 very good candidates, but I'm the only one who brings both public and private sector experience to the table.
And now we'll ask some questions that have been submitted. Would you comment on recent events at Market Basket?
Well, selfishly, many of you know that the city of Lynn is due to have a market basket, so it has been very frustrating seeing that project put on hold because of these family issues. I will say, though, on a more serious note, that it seems prior to the change in leadership at Market Basket, this was an institution that provided good-paying jobs and benefits for its workers. It was an institution that valued low-cost food and accessible food for its customers. It seems the rallying support behind the former leader of this institution is worth backing, and I am supportive of reinstating Arthur T. Demoulas to his leadership post. Thank you.
No, before these events, I criticized Market Basket. I said, well, they're not a union store, but I'm just amazed that everyone has stood beside their CEO, former CEO, and I fully support Arthur being reinstated and all those who were fired because they stood out and stood as a union together. And because they were, the employees were treated well, they're treating well, back the employer, and it's just beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. In terms of Market Basket, I support the workers, and one of my great supporters here in the audience today actually works at Market Basket. And when you work at Market Basket, under its previous leadership, you got help with your retirement, you got a decent wage, there were fair policies, and it's really an exemplary model for the private sector. Those workers have courage, they're risking their jobs, standing up and opposing the recent change in the board. I applaud them for doing so, and I support them 100%.
If the casino bill passes, what programs would you support to help compulsive gamblers?
I would certainly support additional funding. I mean, just to be clear, the bill that had passed for the casino bill had included provisions to mandate that there are increased funds for these types of services. But on top of that, I mean, this is the first time that this is happening in Massachusetts. We need to make sure that anybody who has a problem, either with addiction to gambling or to substance abuse, has the treatment that they deserve. And I would fully support funding that and keeping a close eye on that with my fellow legislators. Thank you.
No, I have 15 years experience in helping others with substance abuse issues, and some of them may have had gambling issues. The lack that there is in support is actually giving support to families to help support their loved ones, their friends, and we need to create more programs because helping those heal is helping the family structure stay together, and I would like to see more funding in that avenue as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, casinos is a difficult issue because there are so many pros and so many cons, and this is certainly one of the cons. I think one of the things we first need to do is think about counseling and prevention, because before someone becomes addicted to casino gambling or anything else, there's an opportunity to help prevent that from happening. So we need to look at prevention and appropriate funds that's going to prevent that from happening. Second, for those who do become problem casino gamblers, we need to make sure there are programs available to treat them, whether that's a professional program, whether that's a counseling program, whether that's a group program, or whether that's a program that includes their whole family. Thirdly, one of the things we can do is be sure that we're creating not just a place to gamble, but a place to work. because that's something that will prevent people from falling into casino gambling problems. And as I mentioned earlier, when casinos come, if casinos come, I'll be pushing strongly for a training program that provides training for people from Lynn and people from Nahant to work in the casinos, in the restaurants, in the hotels that are going to be built. Thank you.
The issues around Union Hospital in Lynn are difficult. But what is your position on Union Hospital issues, and what have you actually done to advance your position?
I am strongly opposed to the plan that was laid out by partners last year to alter the services at Union Hospital. I've worked hard to preserve the essential services currently provided at Union, both at the state and local level. I've met with community members at public hearings. I recently testified before the Department of Public Health, and I drafted amendments to the state budget to give more local control and to preserve essential services. I firmly believe that we need a fully operational hospital in the city of Lynn, a city of 90,000 people. Thank you.
Please visit SaveUnionHospital.com. This is a website I've put together. I've organized a grassroots organization, and there are about 100 members in it, and we're putting lawn signs all around Lynn, Lynnfield, Saugus. I met with Saugus selectmen, Lynnfield selectmen, and had them endorse our petitions. I've wrote a complaint to the federal agencies and asked for a monetary redress of all the services that were stripped from Union Hospital, and including Union Hospital, because I found errors in the licensing plans, and I'm not going to take no for an answer on saving these services, because essential services are not enough. It's not what the community deserves. They've already taken away Saugus Hospital, Revere Hospital, Marblehead, Malden, Lynn Hospital. They're tearing apart our community hospitals, and they're warehousing human beings, and it's disgusting and disgraceful, all for the almighty dollar, and it's not going to be acceptable anymore.
Thank you very much. In the district the size of ours, it's unacceptable that there will be no full-service hospital. I feel very strongly that Union Hospital should remain in Lynn. Katarina's done a great job on that issue, and I've signed both of her petitions to keep the hospital and to ask the City Council to take a look at making zoning changes or eminent domain proceedings to keep the hospital. If we have to go to Salem for our hospital treatment, it could very well take a half hour from here in Nahant. My grandmother Lorraine is here tonight. She lives in Kings Lynn and West Lynn. It would take her a half an hour to get to Salem Hospital at certain times of the day, and that's totally unacceptable. I think that the next state representative needs to use their office as a bully pulpit to say that it's unacceptable that we have just emergency services in Lynn, because think about it. Sometimes you're admitted to the emergency room, there may be heart problems, you're taken up to cardiac. An elevator ride is appropriate, not a half-hour ride in an ambulance or a private car. We need to keep full-service hospital and full-service health care in Lynn and in the 11th Essex District. Thank you.
What do you envision for arts programming in Lynn and Nahant?
I firmly believe that the arts have the ability to grow our economy. That's why I led the charge to make investments in our Lynn Auditorium. I don't know if anybody here has caught a show, but please do. We've had a number of businesses locate in the downtown specifically because of the investments that we have made in our arts in Lynn Auditorium. Those are jobs and more folks coming to visit Lynn and seeing our downtown. I also started a youth public mural project. If you notice, a number of utility boxes throughout the downtown have been painted. That was a partnership with Raw Arts, a public-private partnership, to both encourage the youth to be part of the arts and also discourage graffiti, which was so prevalent in the downtown. I was also one of the first members of the Arts After Hours Board of Directors, and I proudly represented the downtown, which has been designated an Arts and Culture District when I was Ward 5 Councilor. Additionally, recently we've been meeting to establish a public arts ordinance. Our idea is with all these visitors in the downtown and trying to get more folks to come, that there needs to be an attraction. So stay tuned, I guess, on that one, but we're working closely with a number of downtown residents as well as the arts community. And again, I really think the arts can drive our economy in the downtown. Thank you.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question? I was shaking Charlie's hand on that last question.
You want to hear the question again?
Yes, please.
Please discuss what you believe should be arts programming for Lynn and Nahant.
Oh, I think we should place art, the image of art at the gateway. I'd like to see art displays and kiosks and along this green boulevard along 1A connecting Revere Beach to the Nahant Beach and Lynn Shore Drive, and created there's this boulevard that I visited in Switzerland, and it was quite fabulous. The parks, there's a green trail along the highway lanes, and it creates an image of entry, and that image stays with you when you travel through Lynn or Nahant. And I'd like to see that improve. I'm very happy to see the arts improve in downtown Lynn, and I think that's growing strong. But I'd like to see it extend with some maybe waterfall displays and hiring local artists.
Thank you. I'm a strong supporter of what I call the arts infrastructure, and here's why. First of all, having arts in our community brings revenue, right? People come to see plays, they come to see works of arts, they'll spend money at stores, at restaurants, it creates jobs, it creates revenue for Lynn and for Nahant. Secondly, it brings beauty. We're always trying to beautify our community, and what better way to do that than by having folks paint something or create a mural or do some kind of sculpture. So I'm a proud supporter of what's going on now in downtown Lynn, attending the plays, and perhaps many of you have done so. And when you go to those plays, you'll see that many folks have come there not only from outside Lynn, not only from outside of Nahant, but they've come from outside the city or the county to see the plays, bringing revenue, bringing really livelihood to that part of the city. As a school committee member, I have a history of supporting the arts. There have been no fees for students who want to play a music instrument, no fees for students who want to participate in painting or any other kind of art in the Lynn Public Schools, no cost for band uniforms, no cost for instruments, and no cost for arts or music equipment of any kind. While I've been on the Lynn School Committee, I'm very proud of that.
And now we're at almost the last question. We are having this discussion in Nahant. As you have knocked on doors in Nahant, what have you found to be the most important issues that people here in Nahant have raised with you?
I think the two most important issues that have been raised, and we have knocked a lot of doors, would be education, specifically making sure that the state provides adequate education funding for special education, and also the environment. And both issues are ones that I feel very passionate about. I, again, think our greatest natural resource, both inland and Nahant, is our shoreline and our waterfront, and we need to do all that we can to protect that. Recently, in the Senate, I drafted an amendment to the environmental bond bill, which included $20 million for water quality improvements all along the state's beaches. And that specifically was geared towards Kings Beach in Lynn, which has some of the worst water quality of the state. So issues like that, I have the experience to take action at the state level to make sure that our local resources are being protected. Thank you.
The environment is a big concern, and also creating some type of home base for a high school type of program. I know the students are being bused to other regional districts, and one of the funny comments I usually hear is our biggest problem is driving through Lynn. And although that could be taken in a negative aspect. It really goes to show that we really do need to improve the approach of our gateways. We need to improve our gateways, not just for Lynn, but also Nahant and the other communities that pass through. And I think that this boulevard idea and toning down the envelope size of these towers will help create that soft North Shore image that belongs and fits, is contextual to our societies. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, we've talked about a lot of different issues here tonight, and many, if not most, have come up as I and members of my team of volunteers have knocked doors here in Nahant. But one of the common things that's come up as we've knocked doors in Nahant and also in Lynn is the issue of constituent service. And so I want to tell you a little bit about my reputation as a Lynn School Committee member. My reputation is one of being someone who's honest, who's open, who's accessible, who attends a myriad of community events and community meetings, who replies to emails, who responds to phone calls, and who most of all does the work. And that's what people are looking for most of all when I go to the doors, and that's what I'm here to offer you as the next state representative.
Before we go to the closing statements, I want to tell you a little story. Here it goes. A Tea Party guy, a banker, and a union guy are sitting around a table waiting for their pizza. The pizza arrives. It's cut into 10 pieces. The banker takes 9 pieces. And to the Tea Party guy, look out for that union guy. He's going to take your piece. I just want to say on behalf of the Democratic Town Committee, I want to thank Brendan, Charlie, and Katerina for the reasoned and civilized discussion that they had. I want to thank them for the respect that they showed to each other and the respect that they showed to us. So we'll go to final comments, and we'll start with Charlie.
Thank you, and thank you, Jim, for moderating. Thank you to our timekeeper, and again, thank you to the Nahant Democratic Town Committee for hosting this event. A big thank you to each and every person who attended. Again, it's so important to be an informed voter, and you should be commended for doing so. And thank you to everyone who's here helping a candidate, whether it's me or Katerina or Brendan. You should all be applauded for your work. I'm running because I care so much about our community. I care about Lynn, I care about Nahant, and I want to move it forward. I hope I've shown you tonight that I have the work ethic to move it forward. I have the experience from the private sector and the experience from the public sector that will be able to help us make progress in Lynn and progress in Nahant. And I share your values as an activist in the Democratic Party. My name is Charlie Gallo. On September 9th, in the Democratic primary election, I respectfully ask for your vote, and I respectfully ask for the votes of your friends, your family members, and your neighbors. Thank you so much for having us.
I thank you all for coming, and I've enjoyed every single question. It shows that the community really cares, and big thank you to all of you here for being part of the democratic process, and the Nahant Democratic Committee for promoting that process, and I thank you very much, Jim, for that. And again, I wanted to mention, I forgot to mention before, we're having a meeting tomorrow at Wayne Alarm at 6:30 for Saving Union Hospital, and everyone is welcome to attend. It's politicians are usually, there are politicians there, State Rep Wong, city councilors, and it's a grassroots organization, and feel free to hop in, say how you can contribute, and because Partners is a big entity, and we need to fight them together. Again, I'm not asking you to vote for me. I'm asking you to vote for us because I'm fighting for all of us. Thank you.
I'd like to again say thank you to the Nahant Democratic Town Committee for hosting this forum and to everybody here for attending tonight. It's always great to have a positive exchange of ideas, and this is really democracy at its finest. The reason I got into public service was the desire to help people in my community, and I'm proud to say that for the last 9 years I've been able to do just that in State Senator Tom McGee's office. In Tom's office, I've had the chance to learn from the best and work on a wide range of issues, including constituent and local services, committee, budgetary, and legislative matters, and now as Chief of Staff. I was fortunate enough to go to Suffolk at nights and get my master's degree in public administration, and fortunate enough to win a seat on the Lynn City Council, where I've served for the past 4.5 years. And most importantly, I was fortunate enough to meet Andrea, my wife at the State House. My top priority has always been and will always be the people that I represent. That means being accessible and responsive to residents on any issue, no matter how big or how small. I work for all of you, and I need to make sure that government is working for all of you. As I shared with you tonight, my other priorities will be education, infrastructure investment, and economic development. These are the 3 keys to creating jobs and opportunities for our district. On education, I voted to fund the new Marshall Middle School and worked hard to make sure that it passed in a citywide referendum. I started the Lynn Youth Council to give students a voice in their government and to encourage civic participation. If elected, I would continue to work to make sure that communities are getting the education funding they deserve, both special education, pre-K, and after-school and out-of-school time programs. On infrastructure and investment, I led the charge to pass an infrastructure investment bond, which included funds to repair dozens of city parks, playgrounds, and public space, along with some of our strongest assets in Seaport Marina, the Lynn Auditorium, Lynn Commons, the Grand Army of the Republic Museum, and Lynn Woods. At the State House, I have worked hard on several capital improvement projects that have transformed our community, including the Ward Bathhouse, Nahant Causeway, and Lynn Commuter Ferry. We can't move forward as a district if we leave our infrastructure behind. On economic development, I sponsored ordinances that establish expedited permitting on our waterfront and zoning changes in the downtown that will encourage the growth of our arts and culture district and attract new residents and businesses. At the State House, I continue to work closely with Gateway Cities, Mass Development, and the administration to make sure that we are taking full advantage of every development tool available. For the past 9 years, I haven't just talked about it, I've gotten it done. I know how to do the job, and I love working for the people of this district. I respectfully ask for your vote on September 9th to send me to the State House to work with my good friend, Senator Tom McGee. Have no doubt that I will hit the ground running. Thank you very much.
Finally, I want to thank Mike Bilius for being here to record this. It will appear on the Nahant Community Television channel. And Lynn Happening, I think I got that right? Happenings?
Happens.
Happens. Lynn Happens. We will give you a link on our town committee website and Facebook page so you can see what a wonderful evening we had. So thank you so much for coming, and good night.